I think this morning I just want to talk about small towns. In the last episode, the last solo pod, I talked about how I went up to Mackinac County, up to Moran in the UP with my buddies, Dylan and Zach and Shannon, because Zach and Shannon were doing a 166-mile bike race, the Moran 166, and how I haven't been anywhere for more than, 12 hours in years. So spending a weekend away from my family, away from Manistee, away from my businesses was something that I was actually kind of full of anxiety about. But we did it, and I had a blast. And it made me think about all the things that I want to do with my kids, my wife, and everybody together. I want to continue to do these. My wife and I, Betsy, excuse me, we call them like little adventures. When we say let's go somewhere, it's not like let's go someplace and spend a bunch of money, but let's go to a state park someplace and go for a hike or a run. Let's go see another town. Let's go hang out someplace. Maybe be a tourist, not necessarily spending money, but get away for a little bit. And we don't do that nearly enough. We try to make it a birthday thing. So we tell each one of the kids, what do you want to do on your birthday adventure? It could be anything. It could be going to the little Audubon thing we have here in Manistee, or Mary really likes that, my youngest. We've done that a couple of times for her, but just doing little things. Going to the beach, having a little picnic. Yeah. Anyhow, that's not what I wanted to start this with. I wanted to start about small towns. Little small towns like we were at up in the UP. I've been thinking about this since, I started thinking about it the very first morning that Dylan and we dropped off the boys at the start line, watched them take off, and then we went and had breakfast. And we were in there was a real tiny motel. Probably 10 rooms. Attached to it was a little house where the office was for the motel. It reminded me, growing up as a kid, my grandparents owned a motel here in Manistee. It was the Moonlight Motel and Marina. And it just took me back instantly, as a kid. It was right on Manistee Lake. And that's where I grew up. I couldn't wait to get there. This episode is brought to you by Chapo's Northside Bar, voted best burger and wings in town. Yeah, you heard that right. If you're going to go out for a burger or wings or both, you might as well go to the place that's voted the best. The best. Why wouldn't you have anything less? Look, and if you're not down for a burger or wings, that's cool. They've got salads, wraps, and sandwiches also. And this summer, it's going to get wild because on June 24th, it kicks off their summer concert series in the parking lot. Live music, folks. And guess what? It's free. Yeah. Come down for the music, stay for the fun, enjoy the best burger and wings in town. Chapo's Northside Bar. This episode is brought to you by Brandon Ball, broker-owner of Dwelling Realty in Manistee, Michigan. Listen, are you looking to sell your home? Then look no further. When you list with Brandon Ball, you'll get a trusted advisor who will guide you through the entire selling process. With extensive knowledge of the local market, he'll help you price your home competitively to attract the right buyers. And with proven market strategies, your home will be seen by the most qualified buyers. With his 17 years in the business, you'll have someone who's experienced and on your side. Contact Brandon today to get started selling your home. 231-690-4981 or Brandon at dwellingrealty.com. In the mornings, especially in the summer, I had some older cousins that got to work there, mowing the lawns and, helping my uncle and my grandfather on the docks, helping with the charter fishermen. I couldn't wait to be old enough to start doing that shit. And you know what? I loved it. I mowed acres of grass, and I got $20 a week, and I loved it, every bit of it. There was a little tiny, what they call a little coffee shop at the at the motel, and it was just a little building where attached to it was like where they did the laundry, but it's super hard to explain. I could see it in my mind. It was just a little, almost like when you see like a pop-up coffee shop in a parking lot at like a grocery store. It was kind of that size, not much, maybe just a little bit bigger. But it sat, I think there was 5 chairs in there, a little counter, and on the counter was just a little bun, like one of those bun coffee makers. It would hold, I don't know, like a gallon at a time. And they would get these little coffee cake donuts, and they'd be prepackaged. And they'd put them in this little glass container. Smoking cig, not me smoking, but like everybody that went in there was ripping cigs. I loved being a part of that atmosphere. My grandmother would be in there in the mornings, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, talking to the guests that would come through. The state police post was directly across from the motel, and those officers would come down. There was a couple of them that would come down and sit there for a while, smoke cigarettes, smoke cigars, have coffee, tell stories, talk about the community. It was always positive. My grandparents came from River Rouge, South Detroit. My grandfather was on the Rouge Fire Department in the 60s. He was a part of the Detroit riots. And after that was done, he couldn't, he moved. He grabbed the family and they moved up here and bought the motel. And they built a life up here. And thank God for that, because that's why my father was up here. And that's why I was born here in Manistee. And so anyways, to go back to that motel in the UP, it just took me back to that space in my mind. How wonderful it was as a kid to grow up in the way that I grew up. Extraordinarily blessed. I get that. I hit the lottery. I hit the lottery, number one, because I was born in America. But also living in Manistee, having the opportunity to grow up with not only my mother and my father and my brother and my sister, but my grandparents, and in that kind of atmosphere at the motel. That local, I mean, everybody knew my grandfather. He's really big into the church and the local community, and it was just amazing. So inside this little house up in the UP that was connected to this motel was a little diner. And I think there was 5 tables in this place. One woman doing all of the the waitering. One waitress in the place. Sweet lady. You could tell that she'd probably been working there since, forever. Everything on the menu was like under $10 as far as a meal goes, right? More than you could eat. Just completely underpriced, and maybe not for up there, but like if you were like in it, what we ate would be like a $30 meal someplace. And I think in total, it was like $20 some. Big tippers. Come on, you can't just. But like, so when we got there was one table of like these older dudes, 5 or 6 of them, and there was like two young boys. So they were, with their dads and probably their grandfathers and maybe their uncles or whatever. But they were chopping it up in a way like, they were talking about, the Johnson farm down the road, and how maybe he's been struggling a little bit, and then they were talking about how they could help him. And it was really neat. It was that small town shit I'm talking about. You got this group of men sitting at this table, and we're clearly the outsiders, in there, but we felt so at home, so comfortable. And, obviously they knew the waitress by name, and they'd been coming there for years. And then more people started coming into the restaurant, and everybody was saying hellos and how you doing and how's work and how's the farm and how's mom and how's dad and how's your grandpa and how are the kids. And it was just one group of people after another. And that's why I love small towns. Because if you really get nailed down to the nuts and bolts of it, there's really a ton of love for other humans. I mean, sure, there's a bunch of negativity out there. Like if you go on Facebook, like when I go on Facebook, I've got this weird addiction to check like the local BuzzFeed, which typically is the local newspaper. And I scroll down to the posted article that has the most comments, because that's typically the one with the biggest shitstorm going on in it. And that's the town square, unfortunately, for most communities today, is the local whatever it is, right? Like our local Facebook pages that we have here in Manistee. You know what they are. They tend to turn into a little bit more of a gossip page for local, and a lot of it is negatively. There you go. Use your words, homeboy. Negatively driven, which is it's hard sometimes, because when I think about all the things that I love about the small town, the last thing I want to do is talk shit about it. Like coffee, for example. We've got a few different places now, a few different options for coffee in Manistee. I don't give a shit where you get your coffee from. But the last thing I'm going to do is tell you why mine's far more superior. That's the last thing I'm going to do. When you look at Facebook, and typically they're talking more about businesses coming and going, new and old, the negativity, that armchair quarterback that has never run a business, never had a business, never had that entrepreneurial desire to build something that's greater than themselves, that they feel is not only going to provide for their family, but provide something lasting and beneficial to their community. They just want to go online and tell you all the things they think are wrong about it, how they would fix it, or the experiences they had. I said this in the last podcast, and I'm going to say it now. I want your business at least one time. If you've never been to Manistee Beverage Company, I want your business one time. Give me the opportunity to convince you to come back, to give you the kind of shopping experience that you're like, whoa, I'm not going to buy my booze anywhere else but from that guy's place. The same thing goes for all the restaurants in town. Give them an opportunity to win your business one time. If the food is not good, if the experience is subpar, that's on them. But if the food is good and you have a really good experience there, maybe go back a second time, a third time. Tell somebody how good it was. Try to refrain from the, 2-star review shit. So I'm pretty sure this is a fake review. But maybe I was having an off day. I don't know. I've got some reviews that are a little less than positive. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, I was probably having one of my. I'm human. I have days, but I got a review the other day on a site that in all the years that we've been open, I've only had one review, and it was a positive review on it. Anyways, I got a review the other day, a 2-star review. Right now, I want you to keep in mind, if you've been in the store, you know the site. Anyways, the review was like, cute little store. The owner had the personality of a wet sponge. I mean, I've had some days, right? I've had some days. I try to put on a good face. But I don't. The one thing I think is really in poor taste is faking positivity. Look, if you're having a shitty day, do your best, to put a smile on. I try to do my best to always try to be as positive as I can without being fake. So maybe I was having a shitty day, and maybe it was more like, hey, how's it going? If you got any questions, let me know. Did you find everything okay? Great. Would you like a receipt? If that's wet spongy, I'm soaking wet. Small town love to a shitty review. Sorry about that, guys, but that was on my mind a little bit. So anyways, I was talking with a friend this morning, and she was talking about her son who had finished college last year, and he's got a big job now, but he's back home, and he's kind of going through those growing pains where it's like, man, I'm working every day. All my friends are gone. My friends from college obviously don't live here. He's trying to figure it out, He's trying to get into a routine. But yeah, it's called adulting. And, so we were talking about, like, all the things that he's into. Like, he's a coach, and, but he's younger. And he's trying to figure out his ways and what he should get into, what he should stay away from, the kind of circles he should run in. And the moral of the story was we both were like, he doesn't appreciate living in a small town. It'll take some time. And I said, you know what? It took a little bit of time for me as I get older and reflect on how good shit really is, how much I appreciate everything that this small town has provided me. It's really given me this wonderful, grounded feeling. Just knowing my neighbors and having friends that are super close. I'm blessed that my family lives here. I can call my mom or my dad, and I could see them in 2 seconds. The same for Betsy's family. Everybody lives here. We're extraordinarily grateful for that. There's a lot of things that are really awesome about having your family and friends super close. And I think, when I was younger and I couldn't wait to leave, being back, living here for the majority of my life, thinking back on, how different it might have been if I had just stayed gone, I really think I made the best choice in staying closer to a closer-knit community, family, friends, neighbors that I can lean on. It's, like back in the day, like many back in the days ago, when people lived in tribes, you didn't leave the tribe, dude, unless you were like, an outcast, unless you were a crazy person, You stayed with your tribe. And I think that's what a small town, a small community is. It's a tribe. And we all need each other to keep the tribe moving in the right direction. So, to circle back to the Facebook stuff again, if we can bring the town square back to the town square and out of the phone and the computer somehow, it'll make experiences for everybody that much better. Everybody has an opinion on a keyboard, and I don't necessarily think that's always a good thing. Face-to-face, in-person handshakes, hugs. I'm a hugger. Personal space stuff, but when you live in a small town, you can kind of be like, hey, and then hug somebody and they don't freak out, you know? Of course, that does sound a little bit weird, though. Like if you didn't know somebody and you were like, hey, and gave them a hug, they'd probably shit their pants. I'm not giving great examples of why living in a small town for me is awesome, but I think it's really because I know the dirt, the sand, the water, the people. I've seen this town change over my last 45 years, in great ways, maybe not so great ways. It's gone up and down like a roller coaster. I think right now we're on this. We've gotten into the ride, right? We're strapped in, and we're starting that ascent on the roller coaster. Some people think we're like at the top and we're ready to come crashing down. I don't think it's that way yet. I think the jury's still out on where the community is going to go commercially, where it's going to go in terms of like commerce, business in the downtown area and the immediate surrounding area. I think what's happening right now, we're in that click stage of the roller coaster where we're just kind of clicking up the first, like we're just getting ready. We're just getting ready to start the ride. And a lot of people will say, you know, it's kind of been like that forever. And I'd agree with that. But ground being broken to build in Manistee commercially, I don't think I've ever seen it at this level before. Now there's a little bit of a lull right now. It's quiet. We're getting into the middle of October. People don't like to buy shit now. They don't like to build stuff going into winter, but I think change is coming. And for the most part, right now, at my age, I'm not afraid of change still. I'm still not afraid of change. I'm ready to embrace change. I'm ready to try to continue to toe the line of positivity when it comes to change in the community. And I'm changing. I'm evolving. We're changing things in our business model. And, you know, I think I might be slowly taking my foot off the gas on that entrepreneurial, you know, flame. I'm stoking it a little bit, but I'm also thinking about kind of backing away from it also. You know, I'm getting to the point in my life where I want more experiences and less commitment, which is weird, because what ends up typically happening with something like that is as soon as you find your lane, commitments start to pop up, because you start to get really good at things. And I think I'm pretty good at a few things in my life, but one thing I want to get much better at is having more experiences with the people that I love, and that's more experiences with my family, with my wife individually. I'd like to have more experiences with just her and I, more positive experiences, more loving experiences, and then I want to share those kinds of experiences with my children. I want to have more one-on-one time with each one of them individually, and all of us together. You know, it's a perfect dream, really. I want to have these experiences like I had in the Upper Peninsula at Moran with my friends. I want to have more of that. And in order to do so, I need to prune some shit in my life. And to be determined, folks, but shit's about to change. And I hope you're ready to come along on the ride. Cheers to small towns.